Is the long-standing reign of the Castro dynasty finally unraveling? And will the man once considered untouchable finally face a courtroom in the United States? For decades, the shadows of Havana have shielded those responsible for one of the most brazen acts of aggression against American citizens in our history. But today, that wall of silence has officially been shattered. Before we continue, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in U.S. politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow and ensures you never miss a breaking update on these critical stories. The news broke Wednesday in Miami, where acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche made a historic announcement that has set shockwaves through the Caribbean and the halls of Washington. A federal grand jury has returned an indictment against former Cuban President Raul Castro, charging him with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals, the destruction of aircraft, and 4 separate counts of murder. This legal action stems from the tragic events of February 1996, when Cuban military aircraft intercepted and shot down 2 civilian planes operated by the Miami-based exile group, Brothers to the Rescue. 4 Americans, Carlos Costa, Armando Alejandre Jr., Mario de la Pena, and Pablo Morales, were flying unarmed, humanitarian missions to assist people fleeing the Cuban regime when they were killed in international waters. According to the indictment, Raul Castro didn't just oversee these events, he allegedly gave the direct order to fire on these civilians. As Attorney General Blanche stated, nations and their leaders cannot be permitted to target Americans, kill them, and then expect to avoid accountability. This isn't just a cold case being reopened, it is a clear signal of a massive shift in American foreign policy. We are seeing a coordinated effort from Florida lawmakers, including Representative Carlos Jimenez and Senator Rick Scott, who have been pushing for this for years. They are calling this a long-awaited step toward justice, nearly 3 decades in the making. But this is happening against the backdrop of a much more aggressive stance from the Trump administration. When you look at the rhetoric coming from officials like Florida Attorney General James Uthmere, who declared that there can be no future for a free Cuba so long as the criminal gang of thugs remains in power, it's clear that this is about more than just one indictment. It is about signaling the beginning of the end for the communist regime in Havana. President Trump himself has signaled his support, noting that the Cuban population in Miami and across the United States has waited far too long for this level of accountability. Trump suggested that the Cuban government is currently weakening under intense economic pressure and that they have, in his words, lost control. So, what does this mean for the future of the island? We are looking at a potential turning point. If the United States is officially seeking the prosecution of the former head of state, the diplomatic and geopolitical stakes couldn't be higher. We are seeing comparisons to the situation in Venezuela, with officials pointedly warning the leadership in Cuba to look at the fate of Nicolas Maduro. The new sheriff in town narrative is being used to characterize a renewed commitment to democratic change in Cuba, and for the thousands of Cuban Americans who have been waiting for this moment, it feels like the first real crack in the foundation of the regime. However, the road ahead is treacherous. While the U.S. government prepares for legal battle, the international community will be watching closely to see if this leads to a formal trial, or if it serves as a catalyst for a more rapid, perhaps volatile, transition of power within Cuba. The regime has proven resilient for over half a century, but as the old guard faces these criminal charges, the question of who or what will step in if the government falls becomes the most important question in the region. The message from Miami is clear: the United States is no longer willing to look the other way. They want justice for those pilots, they want accountability for the victims, and they are putting the current leadership on notice. So, what do you think about this? Do you believe this indictment is the spark that will finally topple the Castro regime, or is this just another political move that won't result in any real change on the ground? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. The story is still developing, and we are going to be tracking every move coming out of the Department of Justice and the White House. This is a moment in history that many in South Florida have prayed for, and regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, the legal ramifications of this indictment are going to ripple for years to come. Stay tuned.